live in interesting times. Today's stories. U.S. Surgeon General acknowledges Filipinos, native Hawaiians as most vulnerable to COVID-19. Additional restrictions on Guam to control COVID-19 surge. Stricter measures to enforce COVID-19 safety in British Columbia. Union demanding answers as COVID-19 cases spike among OC Transpo transportation drivers. No school bus until September 14 for English language course in Ottawa. World's biggest rooftop greenhouse opens in Montreal. The Raptors show their support for the Black Lives Matter movement. NBA players remember Kobe Bryant on his birthday. Hello everyone, you are watching Eagle News International from Canada. I'm Lua Kino reporting from Vancouver, bringing you stories from across the globe. As the COVID-19 continues to spread across the globe, many are asking if there are certain ethnic groups who are more vulnerable to this deadly virus. EBC correspondent Ron Hamilton with the details.
Earlier today at the Honolulu Fire Department headquarters, Mayor Kurt Caldwell announced that a second stay-at-home, work-from-home emergency order has been approved by Governor David Ige and will take effect on Thursday, August 27th. During a press briefing, Mayor Caldwell pointed out the main objectives of the latest order.
One, we're going to be doing surge testing for the next 2 weeks. 5,000 tests a day. That's 70,000 tests in 14 days. No city has actually hit the 5,000 level, but we're working hard to do so. Number two, more contact tracing. The city wants to join that effort and wants to hire somewhere between 250 and 500 contact tracers to work in coordination with the Department of Health and General Hara to do a more aggressive approach to contact tracing.
In addition, the mayor and U.S. Surgeon General Jerome Adams emphasized that a couple ethnic groups had been disproportionately affected by the coronavirus.
When we find those positives, they cannot be quarantined with other members of their family who continue to go to work and spread the virus, particularly in our Pacific Islander community and in our Filipino-American community, where we see an increasing number of cases.
And you heard the mayor mention that the Filipino community has been particularly hard hit. I got data this morning over at Kapiolani Hospital that helped illustrate the fact that the Filipino community has been hard hit in terms of numbers of people dying and percentages of people dying from this virus. We know that people from the Pacific Islands represent about 4% of the population here in Hawaii, but about 30% of the cases. That is astounding. That is astounding to me, and it's why we want to make sure our surge testing is allowing us to get some visibility into those communities.
Honolulu City Council member Joy Manahan, himself a Filipino American, representing one of Hawaii's largest Filipino communities, shared some frustration that Honolulu should have been allowed to invest in more preventative measures back in the spring when new cases were still in the single digits.
Early on, we tried to get testing into the community health centers, but the state government's decision not to test and trace while the curve was flat is now stressing our health systems and the economy. The DOH tied the city's hands when we offered to test communities on the front line of the pandemic back in April. Testing on Oahu has not been equitable. The state's decision to coordinate testing with hospitals only is proving costly for our working families who access their health care at a federally qualified community health center. I'm glad that the federal government and the county are stepping in to provide more social justice and equity in the current testing and tracing programs. This is welcome news, not just for me in my district, but really for the county of Oahu and for the state of Hawaii. So I'm really looking forward to this new effort. I hope we can get a handle on it while the curve is flat, and I'm confident with everybody here helping, we can.
To recall, back in early May, Eagle News reported on a study by the University of Hawaii School of Medicine stating that the highest rate of COVID-19 cases in several U.S. states, including Hawaii, are among Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, more than any other racial and ethnic groups. From Honolulu, Hawaii, this is Ron Hamilton for Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Here's EBC Hawaii correspondent Alfred Acenas on the latest COVID-19 crisis in the West Pacific region.
So Luleon Guerrero is showing positive signs of a steady recovery from COVID-19 that she has been fighting off for almost a week now. But she still has that heavy burden as Guam's governor to deliver the not so good news about the latest surge of cases in the West Pacific territory.
Tonight, the Department of Public Health and Social Services will confirm 105 new cases of COVID-19. This, by far, represents the largest number of confirmed cases in a day since the start of this pandemic. 28% of our total confirmed cases were recorded these past couple of weeks alone. Along with this significant increase in confirmed cases, this most recent tragedy indicates that we cannot decrease our vigilance. We cannot become comfortable, and we cannot surrender to complacency. We are not invincible. No matter how young, healthy, and active you are still at risk, and you are putting others at risk too. I must remind the public that this pandemic will either accelerate beyond the capacity of our healthcare system or decrease to containable levels. We are dangerously close to the former. To prevent this from becoming our future, even stronger measures need to be taken. This is why, effective noon tomorrow, August 21st, through an executive order, all businesses will be closed, with the exception of grocery stores, healthcare operations, including pharmacies, gas stations, convenience stores, hardware stores, and those operations critical to health, shelter, and the preservation of life. It is my hope that this escalation will last only a week, just long enough to flatten our rising curve. To assuage any fears you may have because of this order, I will be establishing a hotline that will answer your questions, which we will announce tomorrow. In any long struggle, there are good days and there are bad. Today is not easy. While there may be a vocal minority advocating against these measures, I know the people of Guam are not prepared to even greater risk. Based on what we know about COVID-19, to prevent the collapse of our healthcare system, we need to take drastic steps, and we need to take them immediately. I know this is extremely difficult, but the good of all depends on the sacrifices of many.
Reporting from Honolulu, Hawaii, I'm Alfred Acenas, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
To try to help the spread of the COVID-19 in British Columbia, stricter measures are being enforced for the safety of the people in this province. Eagle News correspondent Kathleen Cruz reports.
Police and other law enforcement officers have now the authority to issue $2,000 violation tickets to individuals and owners hosting big events and gatherings in excess of 50 people. The stricter measures are drawn from the actions of some British Columbians violating public health measures, resulting to the steady increase of COVID-19 cases in British Columbia. More details from Public Safety Minister Mike Farnworth.
As we've all seen over the past few weeks, there is a small minority of selfish individuals across the province who are disregarding the public health measures in place. Our provincial and regional health officers, and indeed most British Columbians, have worked too hard and sacrificed too much to keep transmission rates low.
The implementation of fines will be effective immediately, including private and public gatherings with more than 50 people. failing to provide hand sanitation and washroom facilities, incompliance to provide safe physical distancing, and failing to get a list of names at the events for contact tracing.
Our public health officials have done so much to guide us through this pandemic. They are busy contact tracing, supporting people in self-isolation, managing outbreaks, and preparing our schools for students to return. We cannot expect our health officers to break up parties in the middle of the night, scan social media for unsanctioned events, or be available in every corner of the province. It's time to take a tougher stance, time to be clear. From this point forward, we're going to make sure those making selfish decisions are risking more than their reputations.
Violation tickets of $200 will also be given to individuals encouraging to attend gatherings and events, and even those who refuse to obey the instructions of the police and other provincial enforcement officers. In Vancouver, Kathleen Cruz, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
A spike of COVID-19 cases among OC transportation drivers causes many worries and concerns, and school buses in Ottawa will not be available to students until mid-September. Eagle News correspondent Andre Lejoie reports.
As August 21st, 2020, 28 of 3,000 employees of OC Transport City Transportation has contracted the COVID-19. 6 days earlier, the director of OC Transpo, Director John Manconi, announced that 13 cases of the agency and its employees contracted the virus. Multiple cases of COVID-19 cases from employees and its drivers of OC Transpo are worried. Some members of the organization are worried that the transportation is not ready for a second wave of COVID-19. The most important thing to do is to ensure the security and its operators and its drivers, says Stuart McKay, a member of the Administration of Users Transportation of OC Transpo in Ottawa, Canada. Back to school will increase a ridership of OC Transpo buses, which could be one of the factors contributing to a possible second wave, he believes. We do not have enough buses to accommodate its passengers and its age of distancing to ensure everyone. They are hiring more drivers, but they do not have enough buses to drive. Manconi admits last week that some of the OC Transpo employees, including drivers, were not wearing masks on duty. The problem is also said that to be a widespread among para-transpo staff. Operators are not wearing the personal protective equipment provided to them. They make up all kinds of excuses to justify why they do not have to wear it. Some of them even apologize just to not wear it. OC Transport Transportation and Transit Agency says to enforce the mandatory mask policy on buses, trains, and outside LRT station, something drivers are telling passengers are not always entering, especially at night. Transpo will be more alert and take more measures on its employees, its drivers, and users in the weeks to come. The agency responsible for the transportation of thousands of English-speaking students in Ottawa says that school bus will not be back on the road until mid-September. The Ottawa School Transportation Authority, the OSTA, says it must adapt at the last-minute changes related to COVID-19. Among the details to be confirmed to the number of students who will not need school transportation since they will be studying at a distance. This announcement only concerns students from the two English language school boards who will travel in yellow buses. OC Transport services remain unchanged. The agency chief executive, Vicky Kiriko, stressed that having fewer students usually means fewer buses. But due to the pandemic, that may not be the case. What we are counting is on the same students will not go to school. This is not a year where we try to find efficiency or gains in order to save money. This year, we have to find space. According to the online survey conducted by the organization, 5,500 students will not take the bus this year. Some routes with the capacity of 70 students therefore end up with less than 50 students on board. The OSTA, the Ottawa School Transportation Authority, recalls that its objective was to have one student per seat. The agency also wants to group the siblings together in the same bench to save space. This is André Lajoie with Eagle News in Ottawa, Canada. We live in an interesting time.
Coming up, world's biggest rooftop greenhouse opens in Montreal. The Raptors show their support for the Black Lives Matter movement. NBA players remember Kobe Bryant on his birthday. Eagle News International continues after this.
The New Era University, in its 45th year of excellence, discipline, and service to humanity, will offer online education at all levels beginning this first semester academic year 2020 to 2021 through the NEU Virtual Learning Environment, or NEU VLE. New Era University offers a complete basic education cycle from kindergarten up to senior high school, offering all strands. NEU has 18 colleges, and 2 graduate schools. It also offers ALS and ETF. Best of all, NEU has the most affordable tuition fees among private universities in the Philippines. NEU is at Quezon City, the city of San Fernando, Pampanga, General Santos City, South Cotabato, Lipa City, Batangas, and Pinugay, Baras, Rizal.
New Era University is under the stewardship of Dr. Nilo L. Rosas.
What are you waiting for? Be part of the new normal. Enroll now. Classes start on October 5, 2020.
Kickoff. Goals, goals, goals. The best part of soccer. We let you relive the most thrilling moments. The ultimate best goals compilation of the last season. Just sit back and enjoy. Kickoff.
Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News International from Canada. I'm Lou Aquino. Building on a new hanging garden trend, a greenhouse atop a Montreal warehouse growing eggplants and tomatoes to meet demand for locally sourced foods has set a record as the largest in the world. It's not an obvious choice of location to cultivate organic vegetables in the heart of Canada's second largest city, but Lufa Farms on Wednesday inaugurates the facility that spans 160 square feet, or about the size of 3 football fields. The company's mission is to grow food where people live and in a sustainable way, spokesman Thibault Souray told AFP as he showed off his first harvest of giant eggplants.
On est même dans la plus grande ferme sur un toit au monde. Elle fait 168 000 pieds carrés. C'est à peu près la taille de 3 terrains de football.
It is the 4th rooftop greenhouse the company has erected in the city. The first, built in 2011 at a cost of more than $2 million Canadian dollars or $1.5 US million, broke new ground.
L'avantage d'être sur un toit, c'est vraiment qu'on récupère énormément d'énergie du bâtiment en bas. On utilise à peu près 50% moins d'énergie qu'une serre conventionnelle au sol en étant sur un toit, parce qu'on a énormément de chaleur passive qui va monter et chauffer notre serre.
Since then, competitors picked up and run with the novel idea, including American Gotham Greens, which constructed 8 greenhouses on roofs in New York, Chicago, and Denver, and French Urban Nature, which is planning one in Paris in 2022.
Après, 20 000 familles, donc 20 000 lufavores, qui commandent des paniers chaque semaine. Donc on est rendu à nourrir presque 2% de Montréal.
A local Montreal supermarket has also offered since 2017 an assortment of vegetables grown on its rooftop, which was greened in order to cut greenhouse gas emissions linked to climate change. In sports, the Raptors continue to show their support in the Black Lives Matter movement as they boycott their game against the Bolton Celtics. Eagle News correspondent Raisa Mangilit with more details.
On Wednesday, the Toronto Raptors, who are now in the playoffs and looking to defend their NBA championship, are considering boycotting Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. This comes after Wisconsin police shot Jacob Blake, an unarmed black man, 7 times in the back. The Raptors, along with many other NBA teams, have been at the forefront of bringing the Black Lives Matter movement to the NBA, wearing uniforms and making statements that support the movement, hoping to shed a light on the racial inequalities in America. Many of the Raptors players expressed their disappointment that amidst the Black Lives Matter movement this past few months, it seems as if nothing is changing to decrease police brutality towards black people. Pascal Siakam, who plays forward for the Raptors, shared his thoughts. We came here for a reason, and then, using our platform and wanting to send a message and hopefully bring awareness shot yesterday. So that kind of changes the tone of things and put things into perspective. Coming down here, making the choice to play was not supposed to be in vain, but it feels like everything we're doing is just going through the motions and nothing's really changing. As of August 26, the NBA has postponed the games set for Wednesday and Thursday. In Toronto, Raisa Mangilit, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
NBA players remember Kobe Bryant on his birth anniversary. ABC sports correspondent Tenny Sumakuwe reports.
Kobe Bryant would have turned 42 this past August 23rd. In honor of the Laker great, LeBron James, Jordan Clarkson, and WNBA superstar Diana Taurasi remembered their friend, mentor, and role model on his birthday.
It was an honor. It's been an honor to just put on the Laker uniform, even before the passing of the great Kobe Bryant. Tonight was another one of those moments for myself, for this organization, for all the players that was able to wear those uniforms that he that was inspired by him and his mind and his creativity. So to go out there and one day removed from his birthday, and then his day of 8/24 to be able to have a game on this day, stars aligned. I did notice that we were up 24-8 because I'm always trying to figure out what's going on throughout the course of the game. I'm always looking if we're up, if we're down, what's the team fouls and all of that nature. And when I looked up there and seen 24-8, I was like, okay, this is he's here in the building. So it was a beautiful night for our franchise. It's something that we probably will always remember. Game 4 of the 2020 playoffs in this moment.
He was there for me. Definitely as a young player growing up in the league, he was your idol at once, like me, guy that I loved to watch play, and then he became a mentor and a friend. It definitely means a lot. Definitely meant a lot yesterday playing on his birthday. And just knowing that you know, he's had so much impact on my career. It's one of those feelings that, you know, it's kind of surreal, and still can't believe that, you know, he's gone, and he's definitely missed every day. So, you know, he's had a great impact on everyone around this world, from businessmen to, you know, reporters to anybody. So I know he's done a great job.
I mean, it's a bittersweet moment. We celebrate him, but we still mourn him. Mourn him, Gigi, everyone on that helicopter. We lost a lot that day. And this is just a little bit that we're going to continue to do to make sure Kobe and Gigi and his family are honored the right way. Because Kobe put everything into what he did. And now it's our job, it's our responsibility, whether you're playing, whether you played in the past, to pay it forward. That's what Kobe would have done. That's what Kobe would have done. There was no quit in him. And as the basketball community goes on, there's going to be no quit in us and remembering Kobe.
Continue to tune into Eagle News for more updates and highlights on the NBA and WNBA seasons. In New York, Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
That's our program for today. Join us again next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I'm Lou Aquino. We live in interesting times.
Established 1975, rising in the list of top-performing universities in the country, a pioneer in inclusive education and an institution with a dynamic education in response to societal needs. With already 5 campuses throughout the country, this is the New Era University. These are the programs offered in the branches outside of Metro Manila, starting off with the New Era University, Pampanga branch. This is the first branch outside of Metro Manila